This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. So no matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. From New York City, I am with return guest Juicy Scooper, author,
Juicy Scooper.
classy lady, sexy lady,
thank
Carole
you.
Radziwill is here.
Hi.
Welcome back. I think this is the fourth time maybe you've done it, because we did it
Is it?
one time here in New York and another time you were in
We
LA.
did twice in LA.
Yeah, and I brought the Barbie.
Yeah, you brought. Oh,
Yes. And you were
so
like
funny.
really looking at it because I like made her eyebrows like better and stuff.
Yeah,
for Barbie. Yeah.
yeah. How my eyebrows today?
You look amazing. This is your color, green,
Oh, it is?
because
Okay.
your green eyes. Do you wear a lot of green?
No. My eyes have recently turned green, like the last 5 years. I swear to you. I promise you. They have. My eyes were hazel. I'll show you on my driver's license, hazel brown. And just in the last 5 years, they just started getting lighter and lighter. So now they're green. And I'm thinking maybe I have a liver disease. I don't know.
Do you know that I feel like my eyes have gotten a little more lighter green, because we're always just like shit brown, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's the eye makeup I'm using is like bringing it out or something.
Do you think it has something to do with like being
Drinking? Oh.
No, I don't. I was gonna say menopause.
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like as I went through menopause, my eyes got lighter and lighter. They're like bright green now.
Well, they look good, so who cares? No one talks about the positives of menopause.
No, I know.
Just straight up not having your period anymore is the greatest.
It's the greatest thing.
It's
the greatest thing.
You know, my son is 22. Drake is here, so get ready. No one has Drake's life perspective, because the amount of times that like I would be in like a compromising position, like running around with the kids, and not be prepared for my period or for it to be whatever.
Yeah.
And you remember when we were at Atlantis? That was bad.
No, there's
Atlantis is a swim park.
There's so many good things. I think I'm not going to preach about HRT, hormone replacement therapy, because everyone has an opinion on it. But like, if you really do your research, women who don't get on that, kind of early on, really suffer.
Oh, okay.
Really suffer.
I actually did not. I feel like I had it pretty great.
No, but you need hormones. You need estrogen is a lubricant for your brain, for your bones, for your heart.
Yeah.
So like,
all right.
You don't want to get osteoporosis. You don't have cardiac events. It's like, it's not just meant to go away.
What is it? Is it a shot or what?
No,
do you
it's
take?
just a cream, a topical cream.
All over your body?
No. No, just a dab, like on your abdomen.
Oh, okay.
I don't. The amount of medical literature on menopause is this much.
Yeah.
This much, and billions of women go through it. I don't understand. I feel like I never had a baby, and I feel like I know more about childbirth than I do about menopause. Like, sort of our sexual health stops at 42 or 45, right?
Yeah.
You never hear.
I guess when you get deemed unfuckable. Do you remember that Amy Schumer sketch?
No.
Oh my God, she had a sketch show, and it was like Julia Louis-Dreyfus and like Tina Fey, and she comes across these women having like lunch, and she's like, "What do you guys do? Oh my God, this is amazing! Like, you're all my favorite like female comedians. What are you doing here?" And they're like, "Oh, we're celebrating like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's it's her last day to be considered fuckable, and we're gonna like," and they send her in like a canoe, and they send her off, and it was like, this is the last day.
I feel like
it was so funny. But talking about that, okay, so
I can't talk about sex in front of your son.
No, it's fine. He has to.
It gets better.
It's fine. He just has to put up with it. It's
sorry.
Part of life. That's what I'm saying. No one has his life perspective. There's not another 22-year-old man who has a female stand-up comedy mother that like talks about like sex with his dad on stage while he films it. Because I'm like, can you cut the clip where?
That's so good.
But I wanted to, speaking of which, when we saw you on Real Housewives of Roni, you are a widow.
Yes.
And you wrote a book and What
Widow's Guide
Remains.
you
did What Remains and Widow's Guide.
Widow's Guide to Sex and Dating.
Yes. And we have so many questions for you. But since we were talking about the dating, so we saw you have like a younger boyfriend, the chef.
Yeah.
And the chef. And you're still are you friends? Where is that situation?
Yeah. I mean, Adam, I've known him 10 years now. Like, I feel like he's like family. You know how they kind of old boyfriends morph into like family,
because I don't have any old boyfriend.
Okay,
No,
you've been
I do.
married.
I do. My husband is my family. I think we morphed into brother and sister.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the same. It's the same. After 10 years, it's like you're brother and sister.
Right.
Like, the annoying little brother.
Right.
Although, like, in a lot of ways, he's more mature than me. But
so, did you? You were saying that that you just saw a preview of Bridget Jones's Diary
about a boy. It's called. It's the fourth installment of the Bridget Jones Diary saga. And it's Renee Zellweger. She's kind of awesome. I mean, she's just really
I love her.
She's great, and she's now a widow because in the last installment, Mark Darcy dies in a terrorist bombing in Sudan, I think, or some sort of terrible dark ending to him. And she's Bridget Jones, so she's still like she can't quite get it together, and it's so and Hugh Grant is in it, and she in the narrative in this is she has a younger boyfriend played by this really hot guy called Leo Woodall. I mean, he's very good because I've seen him in other things.
So how much younger?
He's in the movie.
Is there characters?
Well,
like
it's not
20
like
years?
it's not like The Graduate where like Dustin Hoffman was 28 and Anne Bancroft was like 32.
Oh, when they
were
actually
playing
filmed it.
20.
No, but I'm saying their characters.
Their characters. He was, I think, 20. I think he said he was 28.
Okay.
And
she's like 50.
Well, yeah, but then he
50.
said, "Well, how old?" And she was like, "Oh." And then he was like, "Well, what are you, 35?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'll go with that." You know,
like
but
the
she's
show,
50. She's 50.
Yeah.
And it, I don't know. People, I was asked about it afterward because I've had several relationships, like, kind of long relationships with younger men, sort of in their 30s. And I think there's an acceptance of it now that just didn't exist even 10 years ago.
Totally.
Right? Like, I feel like people are more accepting of women in their 50s dating men in their 30s than men in their 50s dating women in their 30s or 20s. I feel like there's a little bit of an ick factor about that.
Bill what's his name? Bill
Belichick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's
It's
70.
icky.
He's 72,
Yes,
and she's 23 or 4.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
ick.
saw this.
I don't know.
I saw this one guy ask Tom Brady, like, "Well, would you ever help your former coach's new girlfriend rent a car?" Because she can't rent a car because you're 25.
I mean, I'll be honest.
That is
like,
so, and he just it like registered for like took like a second, just like it took like me and you a second, and he's like, "Oh my God, that is so funny." No, they're like, yeah.
I mean,
I'm like, listen,
you see it a lot now.
Yeah,
in
it's
movies.
like if it's 20 years is one thing. Whatever, 50 years is another. At that point, though, who cares? Like, what do you really?
I mean, I'm just gonna say that I think there's a growing ick factor with much older men dating much younger women because there's a power differential there anyway. Even if you're a man and a woman similar in age, the man is perceived to have more power, even if they're both 35, right? So at 55 and 25. There's just an ick factor that doesn't, I think, now exist as much with older women dating younger men. Am I right?
But I have several friends that are in their 50s that are dating, and they're attractive and they're put together and everything. But I mean, not lying about their age on the app or anything,
Yeah.
and they're getting plenty of dates.
No, I mean-
and from guys their age, and from a little bit younger, but
Yeah.
like, no,
No, the
I
younger
think,
ones are more
sometimes
aggressive.
the guys are
though.
like,
the younger ones are more aggressive.
yeah, because
Much
and then I
more
think there's,
aggressive.
yeah, where sometimes it's kind of the perfect thing where a guy is like, I'm 38 and I'm dating a girl who's 37.
Yeah.
There's going to be that pressure.
Yeah, that's
like,
what it
where
is.
is this going? Are we getting married?
Right,
Are
I
we
want a
having kids?
baby,
And if
yeah.
the 38-year-old guy is dating a woman who's
48 or
48 or
58.
50,
Yeah.
he knows babies aren't a part of
Yeah.
it. That's why
Yeah.
there's this.
And you can have a really great, authentic relationship, and you both show up, and there's no game playing. It's like it's very clear. It's very clear.
Yeah.
Like in all my relationships, it's very clear what I wanted and what he wanted. So and I'll tell you, like, I mean, with Adam was we were together almost 5 years. These aren't like flings.
Right.
And my last boyfriend was a year and a half. Like, so these are like relationships, like any relationship you would have at any age. But it's just it's just more on it. I don't know.
Well, when you're saying how in the Bridget Jones diary, like,
Yeah.
Of course, it makes sense when you're writing a fictional story.
Yeah.
For at a certain point, the heroine to be single again, and it's easier if he dies. And so before Sex and the City came back, I became friendly with Chris Noth.
Yeah.
And I was so obsessed with Sex and the City, like,
Yeah, of course.
obsessed. And I was always, with my writer friends trying to come up what, either Sex and the City 3 the movie would be, or if the series ever come back, what it would be.
Yeah.
So I was at his like holiday party.
Yeah.
And I just go, well, Big has to die. I go, Big has to die
Yeah.
because Carrie has to get out there and date again.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then I realized, I can't believe I just said that. Like, he doesn't want his character to die.
Right, 'cause then he's
so
out of
then
work.
the show came back
Yeah.
and he did die.
I guess it's easier to have them die than to have divorce, because there's a lot of messiness with divorce. Although divorce, it could be funny because you kind of run into him with the young girl, typical like young girlfriend.
Yeah.
And that's funny. But no, in Bridget, he died, and she had this lovely relationship with Leo Woodall, who's gorgeous and shirtless a lot, and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then she ends up breaking up with him, because that's always usually what happens. you
Yeah.
know. But then Hugh Grant is in it. Hugh Grant is like, I could watch that guy read the telephone book. Like,
Yeah.
he's so good, and every
He's
time he
so
shows
funny and
up
dry.
on screen,
Yeah.
you're just like, he's a scene stealer. Like,
Yeah.
you almost like you wanted to be with Hugh and not Leo, right?
Right.
Even though Leo's like hot and whatever.
Well,
Hugh Grant is just, he's so good in it.
Oh,
I think there should be another one. I'm going to put it out there.
Yes,
There
put it
should
out
be
there.
another one where it's like Harry Met Sally. Like, she ends up with Hugh Grant, because they're so funny together. They love each other. They're like family. They just need to end up together. And
Put it out there
Right.
and make it happen.
Bridget
I
Jones.
give all the ideas, and I'm like, make it happen,
Number
because
5.
I would like to watch that.
Yeah,
So
and
put
it's
it out
very
there.
nostalgic, because it's really like when you go see this movie, it's like being back in the '90s almost again. It's like everything about it, even the way it's shot and stuff. It's like calm. It's nice. It's like old fashioned.
So speaking of what's not old fashioned, is I
What's
saw
old?
Babygirl with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Now when
I
I
didn't
first
watch the
saw
whole thing.
when I first saw people doing little reviews and talking about it on TikTok, they had seen it in the movie theater, and they're like, oh my God, like, people were laughing, they were dying. And it's Nicole Kidman is a CEO of a big company that's like has like robots coming about. But it's modern day, and she's in New York, and her husband is Antonio Banderas, I think.
Yeah.
And he also really good looking. They have 2 teenage daughters, and he is a director of like plays in the city.
But he's not good at sex, right?
Well, this is,
I just watched the beginning
okay,
of it.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm spoiling it for you, because there's some things that really bother me. So right off the bat, they're like boning all the time. Which, if you've been with someone for at least 17 years, because the girl's ages, that's pretty great. Like, that you're still boning all the time.
Yes.
So they're boning all the time, and then the minute they finish boning, she like runs to her bedroom and opens up a computer and like masturbates to finish off to some like porn. So you're like, okay, I guess she isn't happy. So anyway, then the next
Why
day,
didn't she do it with him though? That's what I didn't understand. Like, just do it with
Well,
your
the
partner.
whole thing is that I'm like, so if you've had 17 years, she then reveals, I've never had an orgasm with you after she starts the affair with the intern.
Oh, so
I'm saying if
only
you've had
watched the first 10
17
minutes.
years
Okay.
of not having an orgasm, but then being able to have it on your own later, like
Bring it into the bedroom.
So at 57 or whatever she's supposed to be playing,
Yeah.
and she looks amazing, her body's amazing. She decides this 25-year-old intern is the one that she's going to cheat on, and she hasn't. They don't make it that she's ever cheated 17 years prior. So this is the person that you're like, this employee. So right off the bat, he's like aggressive, like kind of aggressive with her and stuff, like tries to kiss her in a meeting. And so, but I thought, I'm intrigued because I love any movie that has New York in a background.
Okay.
Like I literally
I
want
that
there
about
to be
you.
for me to search up New York affairs and murders, like psychological thrillers, sexy. Those are my favorite kind of movies. Unfaithful, Fatal Attraction, A Perfect Murder, like those all are just, and wealth. People have to be wealthy in New York for me to enjoy the movie. So all of a sudden, I'm watching the whole movie, and it seems like this affair is going on for a year, but the Christmas trees are still up. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm watching it with Peter. I'm like, wait a minute. This whole thing is like within 2 weeks of like them finding time to go to hotel rooms and work late during the holidays, which is kind of a hard time to like work late.
So
you have
busy.
you have all these Christmas parties.
And
Your kids have like,
family,
but they start boning and doing all this stuff. And of course, you've seen the funny parts where she walks into, everyone's getting drinks after, and the interns are over there, and she's like with her CEO people. And then someone brings over a big thing of milk, and it's like a chic bar. And he's like, "Did somebody order that?" And she looks over, and he's like, and she goes, and then she guzzles like this, and it's not skim, it's not 2%, it's not 1%, it's
milk?
full whole milk.
She's having issues.
So she drinks the whole thing, and then she's like, and I guess the milk was supposed to be like on her face. Like come on your face, I guess, or just that he can get her to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Like because you always hear, I guess, about men going to like a dominatrix because they're this big CEO. They want this one to be like, "Hey, you piece of shit, get on your knees," and like love it.
Yeah.
So I guess that was kind of the switcheroo of the story. But then what killed me the most is I'm watching it with my husband Peter. You're gonna like this part, right? So they find out it gets revealed that I don't want to tell every bit, but it gets revealed, and he goes, "Get out!" The husband, Andrew, get out. So but it's like, well, she gets out of her beautiful penthouse and goes to like the 2-story Connecticut or whatever
their
house. But it's like, how dare you kick me out to like our $5 million Connecticut house or whatever it is, $50 million. And so she's there alone.
And it's her money, by the way, right?
Yeah,
he's a theater director.
Yeah, but she's in her house, and she's, feeling sad because she doesn't know what's going on through her marriage. And then she looks out the window, and the intern is swimming in the pool. And I'm like, okay, wait. It's still Christmas time. We're on the East Coast.
It's freezing.
It's freezing.
Is it snow on the ground?
So I'm like, if Peter wasn't going to divorce me, my husband, for screwing a 25-year-old male intern, it would be because I let that male intern turn on the fucking heater of the pool.
and run up
it must have
the
started at like
oil.
20 degrees. I mean, it would have taken like 24 hours to get to like a solid like 90 degrees. And then she jumps in, and then, so then they have a fun swimming time.
Yeah.
And then,
So he's like a Fatal Attraction? He's the glam.
A little. They have that scene, which I love because, like, when I was working on writing movies with the Wayans brothers with like White Chicks, we watched all the movies, Tootsie and Something Like It Hot. Any movie where there's men having to pretend to be women. And I remember it was like a film class because he was like, okay, now we need a scene where they almost get caught. And I was like, oh, there is like a formula to this. And so being that this is a formula, I think, to Unfaithful, there is a moment or Fatal Attraction where she comes into the house and she hears his voice, and the kids are laughing and everything. And it reminds me of in Fatal Attraction when he comes home
and she's pretending
Alex,
to be the real estate.
No, she's pretending to be interesed in buying the house.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, let me give you my number. And he's like, Rrr. So he shows up because he's like, you left your computer. And she's like, what are you doing here? What are you doing out here? And then they have a party, and she has this beautiful assistant, this young black girl who's like her main right hand lady, and she invites her to the daughter's party, still Christmas time, and it's like her daughter's sweet 16, and she brings him, the intern. So she's like, goes to him in the, she's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I don't want you to be with her. You're mine. You're mine. And then the girl walks in and she's like, we need more cupcakes. Like, what the fuck is going on? So then, now this is where I like to rewrite a movie.
Okay.
So I am like perked up. I'm like, now this gets good.
Right.
Now.
Was the sex hot in it, or was it like
the sex
always
was good,
like
but it was
she
a lot of her
choked?
like her orgasms were like an animal. Like sometimes, like we have a lot of coyotes where we live, and sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night, like coyotes are like, it's so loud, and I'm like imagining just like a coyote orgy, literally in my backyard. So it was like. Like it was just a lot of that.
I hate sex scenes in movies.
So
like,
and they're like
pan to the moon or the
and
fireplace.
also they're at like not a nice hotel room, and he has her like crawling on the knees, and I'm like, you're telling me this pristine, perfectly dressed CEO is willing to crawl on the disgusting hotel carpet? I'm like, I would, but will she? No.
Right.
So anyway, so then he so I'm like, oh my God, this is getting good now, because her assistant now knows there's something going on, but the assistant's with him, and of course she could like lose everything. So I'm like, this is juicy. But what happens is, the assistant tells her, tells her like, I know what's going on. All I want you to do is support women, as Ramona would say. Okay? Can you maybe give me a promotion? Okay, we're working hard for you. I don't really like your Australian accent.
Did they take that from Roni?
Yes.
That whole supporting women?
She goes, I just don't think you're like supporting women enough. And like, so I guess she gives her a promotion. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. And this other CEO comes in and he's like, kind of hinting that he knows. And he's like, I think you and I should talk about, at my house or something. Like,
doesn't she have to go to HR at some point?
No, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But he hints this other executive male hints like, I know that you were fucking the intern, and he kind of is basically threatening her, or maybe he's like, you better fuck me or I'm going to tell or something. And she has a really good scene there where she's like stands up for herself and is like, fuck you, I don't care what you say, like I'm going to be fine. And he goes off to Japan to work for Kawasaki or whatever. Now I was like, the much better situation if I was rewriting this, which is the same thing happened. Did you watch the Debbie Moore Substance?
Yeah.
Like, I could have thought of the better. The last 1/3 of the movie sucked, and I'm like, I want to rewrite the ending. But this one, the same thing. I was like, it would have been so much juicier if we found out that the intern and the assistant planned this out. Yeah. Like pre-planned it, knew it, she helped get him the job. He never even went to college because he had he looked kind of rough. To be like, gosh.
Why would he target her?
Why was he targeting her so hardcore? And it was like, there could have been something so juicy there. No. So then the husband forgives her.
Oh, no.
And he finally, fingers her right and she has an orgasm. And I'm like, that's it? Like, she didn't lose anything. Besides her heating bill for the month of December at the Connecticut house,
I'm okay with that.
Nothing.
I'm okay with her not losing anything. You don't have any men, CEOs, interns, and don't lose anything. So we're okay with her not losing anything.
But I'm saying even the husband, the daughters forgave her. Like, everything is just fine.
The big flaw also is, like you said, 17 years of marriage. They're fucking all the time. And, she doesn't think to, masturbate or bring that toys or into the why
it would have made more sense if it was some reference to that she was a serial cheater, and that's why she's so brazen going for this guy that's hitting on her. But it's literally she's led an exemplary sexy marriage.
She's a total prude in her marriage for 20 years, and then she's crawling and licking his shoes. That doesn't make sense. That leap of faith is really bizarre.
But I actually liked watching the movie.
Older women with younger guys, are they doing? I mean, I feel like it's the reverse.
Of what?
I feel like they're not subservient to younger men. I think
that's what I think. That's why I think that they
sort of younger men seem more subservient. Not subservient's not a great word, but you know what I mean. They're just more interested in pleasing.
It's like, you know how they always do like different TV shows and things, and they're like, it's a remake, but it's with a Latino family or whatever. That's what I feel like. It's a remake, but instead of an old fart and a young girl, it's going to be an old lady and a young guy.
Yeah.
And like, that's going to be the DI.
Yeah, like he's the...
What do you call it? The diversity thing. It's going to be that it was that. Yeah. Underwear drawers are like the wild, wild west of wardrobes. There's no rhyme or reason to them. Anything goes. You got pairs from 3 birthdays and 2 Christmases ago, pairs from 5 different brands with 5 different fits. When you open that drawer every morning, you have no idea what to expect. Now that I felt the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies, my other pairs have got to go because MeUndies is all I reach for. I'm hooked, and honestly, I just feel off if I try to wear anything else. I just love the comfort of MeUndies. It's what I cannot wait to get into every night. They're cool, they're soft, and they just fit right. From all black classics to fun, expressive prints, MeUndies has a look for everyone. Plus, they come in sizes extra small to 4XL, guaranteeing a flattering cut for every body. Also, I love their versatile loungewear. MeUndies isn't just about underwear. You got to explore their lounge collection. Oh my gosh, featuring the softest hoodies, comfy joggers, onesies, and more. Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/JuicyScoop. Enter promo code JuicyScoop. That's MeUndies.com/JuicyScoop. Code JuicyScoop for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in. This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. For me, at this point in my life, Peter and I are looking for luxury. I love a beautiful hotel that has room service. I love a hotel with a spa, great food options. I am the world's best orderer, or walk right outside and go to the cutest coffee shop you've ever seen. That is what I'm looking for. But whether you're a parent and you're accommodating kids with big appetites and you want to make sure that breakfast is included, Booking.com has you covered. So no matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. That's Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Okay, I also want to talk about, talking about more TV. But first, tell me about the play that you're an investor in, and there's a cool connection to the star. So tell us about that.
I'm thinking about actually turning my memoir, What Remains, into a play. So,
absolutely should. Be so good.
I decided it's so chic and elegant, and there's a lot of television, a lot of limited series, and they're just all sort of like.
Well, Ryan Murphy is doing one.
Well, yes, we can talk about that. And he did the Swans.
And I also want people. I don't know how much you'll be in it, but I'm sure your character has to be in it. And I'm thinking, who should we get to play you?
Wait, I don't.
Who should we get to play you in the Ryan Murphy?
You mean the American Love Story one?
Yes.
With John and Carolyn?
Of course you're going to be part of it. If you're married to his best friend and cousin.
Story, if he's telling, no, I don't think I have to be because I
whatever.
Stayed out of the tabloid
I would like to know.
So if he's just doing the tabloid version, I don't have to be in it. If he's doing the real story, then there's no way I couldn't be in it. But I don't want to be in it.
From what he did with the Menendez brothers, because I know a lot about it, he really kind of takes a little from everything, from tabloids, from people's theories, from several different books, and then also because he can create, he can create a scene and a conversation that nobody knows would be true or not, because you're taking the characters.
I think everyone thinks everything is true. I think that, which is the unfortunate part when 90% is just from tabloids that are not true.
Right.
But whatever, it's entertainment. And I'm not wishing to be part of it.
So I just want to ask the Juicy Scoopers to suggest some actresses that could play you.
Okay.
Because at that time, you were like in your 30s.
Yeah.
An actress in her 30s.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to have green eyes because they weren't green.
They weren't green. They were brown.
An upper class New York brunette who's thin with a nice ass. Yeah. That's what we need.
Upper class. I mean, I was a working journalist at ABC, hustling. I was not Yes,
But you had
no,
style. You had good
Yeah.
style, is what I'm saying.
No, I mean,
you had
I-
like the simple good. You always had the good,
I
just like
journal-
just like she did.
No, I didn't really have style because I remember Carolyn, like, we used to go through my closet. She's like, honey, you got to get rid of this.
Oh,
You gotta
really?
get rid of this. Yes.
And did you let her? Did you love
Of
it? I
course.
love it when somebody does
Of course,
that.
and she had a great closet, and she gave me all of her, all of her Prada suits and stuff that she thought she would need to wear, like that she never wore.
Oh, so then
So
you
I
had
did-
them for
yeah,
like
yeah,
work
yeah.
and stuff.
I had them from work because I was
Oh,
like
perfect.
little Miss Nerd going to ABC News.
Yeah.
And she was fabulous and not going to corporate America. She left.
Well, if you
Calvin
did,
and
if you
didn't go-
did yours as a play,
my What Remains, yeah.
yeah.
I think I would, to be honest, and I'm just sort of brainstorming it now, but I think I would focus on the two girls. I think I would focus on me and Carolyn, and that would be more the focus because I just think it's interesting, very complex. I mean, obviously, my husband and her husband are part of that whole story, but
Because
the
just to
relationship
remind
would be-
people, they're first cousins.
Yes.
They're Jackie and your husband's
Lee
were sisters,
Yeah.
and they were the only two in the family, so they were
Yes.
very close. And there's
Yes.
been a lot of books and stuff written
Yes.
about their relationship
Yes.
because it's something juicy and things that people want to speculate about. Because
Yeah.
one was the first lady. The other one was, had this great life in New
Yes,
York, and then
fabulous.
there's, Onassis that came in,
Yes,
and there's
yes. Well, that
stories
was
that
a
Lee dated
Yes,
Onassis,
yes,
and then
before.
that ended. But then there's stories that basically, like Lee was like, you should go for him, Jackie, because
Yeah.
you need someone this wealthy because the Secret Service has stopped.
Yeah.
And the Kennedys
I mean,
are being cheap,
Yeah.
and you have these two kids,
So,
and
you
no,
need
but I mean,
protection.
I'm just saying these are the things that
Yeah.
I've read.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't know anything, but these are the stories that are kind of out there. So
Okay.
it's like, yes, I think I want to know what it was like for the two of you to marry into this.
Yeah, it's just a much more, it's like a deeper story of the two girls. And she grew up much like I did in upstate New York, not wealthy, but, she was a single mom, with 3 kids.
You mean her mom was?
Her mom was a single mom.
I didn't know that.
I know, because the story in the tabloids is more like grew up in Greenwich and it all seems fabulous. But she didn't, her mom didn't remarry till Carolyn was like in her teens. So that was, and then she married a doctor, and that was, then they moved to Greenwich. But no, she grew up in Yonkers and, much probably like I did. So it's sort of like this sort of Cinderella story. We both go to make our way to New York City and kind of reinvent ourselves, her in fashion. And she, moved up the ranks in fashion. I moved up the ranks in journalism. I don't know. It just feels like. If
And
I'm gonna
also
tell
that
story,
era,
I'm
there's a
gonna tell
lot
that
of
story.
nostalgia, like
90s, yeah.
the Gen Zers are like, oh, what was it like to be in college without Instagram? Like they love,
Yeah.
they
Oh, do
like
they?
to, they like with
Oh,
my
yeah.
book, You'll Never Blue Ball in This Town Again. I always think it's great to have a book because I always tell people when they're like, should I write a book? I write a book because you never know. It's not like it has to turn in, unlike TV that you pitch it,
Yeah.
nobody wants it, it's
Yeah.
dead. Or the
Yeah.
pilot is dead, it's
Yeah.
dead. A book is as a piece of real estate that can be turned into something
Yeah.
later on. I
Yeah.
feel like my book, just because you talked about it, I feel like my book, which was about a girl in LA, like trying to
Yeah.
make it all these funny dating stories
Yeah.
and all this stuff, but I was an old virgin, and I really didn't want to be an old virgin, but I was. And so, but it's like, and I'm almost like a little bit of a Forrest Gump. Like I lived down the street from OJ. I made out with Cato. Like there's all these like stories from the '90s that are like a little
People
bit.
are
Yeah, and so I'm like, that
obsessed
could
with
be.
the 90s
They're
now.
obsessed
Well,
with
yeah,
the
my
90s
book
because there's
takes
like
place in the
answer
90s.
machines. There's
Yeah.
like you had
Yes.
to wait. You could play the rules, which is
Yes.
the book
Yes.
about like
Yes.
making a guy kind of wait and wonder
Yeah.
what you're up to.
You
It's
met
a
your
whole
husband
different
at
thing.
work a lot. Like,
Yeah.
now it's like forbidden.
yes, you can't meet them at
can't
work.
meet them at work.
Right.
No, it was everyone's nostalgic for it. And my story, I think, takes place really in the 70s when we grew up, and that's such a great era, and the 90s. When I got to ABC News and moved to the city, Carolyn moved to the city around the same time. We both met.
What
I
was
met
your-
Anthony, she met John in the early
Who
90s.
met the husbands first?
I met Anthony probably in 1990, yes, and then Carolyn and John started dating in 91 or something, but then they broke up for a while. And he went back to an old girlfriend. He was dating Daryl Hannah for a long time. So he dated her. He went back to her for a couple of years, and then they got back together in '94.
And then were you happy?
Yes, because I had stayed friends with her.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So I kept the connection.
So you got that connection.
So fun. She was like
so that every time like he'd pop over like in his beret. I always imagine him on a bike in a beret but with no shirt. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's like the way you remember things.
Like that.
But when he came over shirtless in a beret and
never shirtless in a beret.
And so then would you drop that like, oh, I just had lunch?
No.
Or he would ask. But
he would ask. I would never talk about
it.
And
what would you say?
And Carolyn was very, very, she's not, I mean, listen, she was not chasing any boys.
Right.
Even John.
Yeah.
She was not, so she wasn't trying to stay in touch with me to get information. In fact, she kind of like was like careful about like any interaction we had. Like she didn't want it to seem even like she was like trying to like get information. She was the ultimate cool girl. Like even as John Kennedy, she did not care. She's Carolyn Bessette. She really knew more than any woman I've ever met, even before or since. Like she really knew. She knew her worth in that way, in a way that was extraordinary for the 90s, going back to the 90s where women were just a little bit more like, unsure where they were in the workplace, unsure where they were in the dating scene. I mean, date rape had not been, that was not
even mentioned.
It wasn't even a term. So she was great. And then when they got back together after his mother passed away, then it was on. It was like they were getting married.
And then you actually had the princess title, right? Explain how you became a princess.
My husband, Anthony's family were like the aristocracy in Poland for hundreds and
that
was
that Lee's first husband?
Yeah, no, Lee got married actually but when she was young, like 19 or 20, to Michael Canfield, but they were only married like 2 years, and then it was annulled. And then she married Anthony's dad, Stanislaus Albert.
Okay.
Radziwill.
And then did they stay married the whole time?
They were married. They ended up divorcing like when Lee was in the 70s. Anthony was probably like 16. So they were married for a long time.
When we see Lee's character, who Calista is playing, which we're getting back to the play that
the play, right.
But in the Swans, which I loved.
Okay.
But it was interesting because you knew Lee and you guys stayed very close after her son and which is kind of really wonderful because sometimes when you hear about a young death of a son or whatever, sometimes the mother-in-law doesn't keep that relationship with the spouse or whatever, especially when there's not kids or something.
We had nothing.
So I think that's
linking us.
So I think that's really cool.
I mean, it was
connected.
20 years. She lived 20 years longer, and like there were times when we would not see each other. It was hard in the beginning. And she was living in Paris, so. But I went to Paris to visit her a few times, and then. As the time wore on, it just got easier and easier to be with her. And it was actually towards the end, what ended up being the end of her life, the last like 10 years or 5 years. She was great. I mean, we would have dinner at her apartment, just the two of us. And like, she was really extraordinary. And I think people don't even understand the depth of what she really was, because she's always couched next to Jackie. But she was so intelligent, so curious about everything. Like she could talk politics, culture, and then the one thing about her, one of the things I admired about her was she wasn't nostalgic at all about this life she had led, like in the 60s, and she could have been. I mean, people lead less glamorous, less interesting lives that cling to those stories. You hear them over and over again. Oh God, is that going to be me?
No,
that's me. When I was on Roni.
No, we'll get to Roni, but you didn't even talk about Roni, so you haven't even gotten to Roni yet. Come on.
But she wasn't nostalgic, and it was just refreshing, and she was fucking fantastic. She was fantastic, and I didn't see the Swans, so I think, but I did have the opportunity to meet Calista. Because I invested in this play, and now I'm getting sort of trying to get into theater a little bit, and I love theater. I think it's
what's the name of the play?
So it's an old Sam Shepard play, wrote in 1977, called The Curse of the Starving Class. It's very relevant today. It's starring Calista Flockhart. She plays the mother, and Christian Bale, another '90s guy.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He plays the husband, and then sort of these two newcomers. Cooper Hoffman is the son. He's kind of the main character, and he's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. And he's unbelievable. He's like 19 years old.
Wow.
He's so good. And then Stella Marcus is a young girl. She plays the daughter. And this is such a brilliant cast. And this is off Broadway. It's a not-for-profit theater. It's just been extraordinary to be able to see from table read to studio rehearsal to tech rehearsal, which is what we're in now, tech rehearsal and previews, and then it opens in a couple of weeks. The work that these actors do, like I saw it from table read, it was only like a month ago. Now they're totally off book. They're doing in previews, so anyone can go see the play now in previews, and they're perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary, like what they can do to bring. Because I read the play. It's a very dense, very intense, kind of dark play, and you're reading it, and you're like, wow, I don't know if I can get through this. The minute the actors start talking the dialogue and doing whatever the hell they do, it's just like, it comes to life. It's really interesting. It's the thing that I really love about New York, as I was saying the other day, I went to see Bridget Jones' Diary. You can't get more like pop and fun and cutesy. And then I went to tech rehearsal for Curse of the Starving class, and it's just the greatest thing about New York that you can go at any day, any night, and go see off Broadway this intense, incredibly interesting play, and that is totally relevant today. And then the next day see like a Bridget Jones movie,
like premiere,
premiere with like Renee Zellweger and gorgeous Leo Woodall. It's just the great thing.
That's why it was funny. Talking to
everyone should
Sonia.
go see this play, by the way. I don't know. I'll link it in my Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. No, I'll share. I'll share it.
Okay, I'll give you the link. And it's super cheap. It's not like Broadway. The tickets are like $70.
Yeah.
And the theater, Signature Theater, is small, so it's like
very intimate.
You feel like you're part of the whole production. And by the way, there's a live sheep in it. I won't give it away.
So you met Calista.
Oh, I met Calista because she came over to me after the table read, because we all went around and said our names and whatever, and she said, that she played my mother-in-law, and then she said this. First of all, she is gorgeous. She's so striking in person, and I just was like, she kind of looks like my mother-in-law, like the high cheekbones and the wide eyes. I was like, damn.
I thought it was a good cast.
It's a good cast. And she said that she had read something or heard something I had said about Lee that she would repeat in interviews. And she was just so lovely about it. I'm going to forget. I guess I said something in relation to Lee always being in the shadow of Jackie. I said Lee was never the shadow. She was the star. She was the sun and the stars. And I guess Calista had read that somewhere, and she would say that in interviews and stuff. She goes, I think they cut it out a lot, because I think they wanted to perpetuate
that there's a sibling rivalry and all that. Yes.
And all that, yeah.
Speaking of which, there's all these, and because you're part of this, Kennedy situation, one of my favorites was Grey Gardens with Edie, which was like...
Lee is buried next to Big Edie.
And that is... Lee and Jackie's cousin was Big Edie. Yes. Right. And she had this fancy home, but she and her daughter so anyway, I mean, I said it to Sonia. I'm like, it was like Grey Gardens with that townhouse with you. And she was laughing on in the whole thing. And I go, do you still have these interns, And she's like, oh yeah, they help me with my OnlyFans, I'll show some feet for the pervs, but they really help because, then I put it all together and then they have it in a Dropbox and, then they can distribute it. And I go, do you pay the She's like, no, they get school credit. I'm like,
no one's getting
the school credit is posting a 60-year-old woman's OnlyFans?
No, they're not.
Anyway, she goes, but you know what? They have a great life. Do you want to work at a Barnes and Noble and barely get to afford your sweet greens, or go with me to a fashion show and hang out with Josh Flack? I think she's like, come on, I'm showing them the greatest life ever, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure, you're so entertaining.
I mean, I'm sure it's fun for them. I don't think they're getting any kind of school credit. Right? But they'd have to be in school. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
But she saw Babygirl, and now she's like, let me have some other interns that do more than just post the content.
Post my only.
But some of the comments were like, she was so funny and entertaining. Some were like, wow, this is kind of, sad in that she was on this show and they, got all new cast. We don't know if they were coming back. And, Luann is doing great with her cabaret. Bethany obviously has her thing going. Jill has her thing going. And, but like you see that Sonia's like, no, I mean, I'm modeling lingerie. I'm doing OnlyFans. I can't do traders because I have to do my cameos. And then and then I'm doing this cabaret show and all these other things. And some people were like, wow, like you were a housewife. You were married to this billionaire or whatever. And I'm like, I wonder if there should be a little program, just like they now have with a lot of football players, to be like, you're going to be making this much money. We want to teach you, not just put you with an advisor that can steal your money, but we want to teach you to not be overly generous with your money with family or how to keep it going and da-da-da. And I kind of wonder, well, we all know that you guys don't get paid a lot. But when you guys did it, you were not, the cast wasn't paying for personal glam and giving them hotel rooms and taking them on the trips. And I'm like, at a certain point, as a housewife consultant, I'm like, learn how to fill in your own eyebrow. Like, seriously. Like, before your house forecloses on, just because you're on Housewives, no, but I know you have to have this perception that I'm going to have this fancy party and they make you pay for your own parties and things. Yeah. But at the same time, don't be in the red. Yeah, after being on a show that makes the franchise, $300 million. It's like $500 million now, right? I mean, franchises. Yeah, I mean, we didn't fly around glam or anything. I'm trying to think. I mean, I wasn't overspending. I was not pretending to be richer than I was. I was just being, I was just like, this is my life. I live downtown. I love my apartment. It's a, one bedroom. It's perfect. And I'm not trying to be rich. I'm not trying to seem like I'm richer and not flying in hair and makeup. But I think there's a lot of because the potential, after the 4th season, you do start getting paid, a decent amount. But after you take out wardrobe, hair, makeup, all that stuff, if you're really overspending there, that could be your whole salary. Right. It really is. And then there, I guess now it maybe is a little different because they make a lot of money on social media. That didn't exist when I first started on Housewives. Can you believe it? Instagram launched the same year I was on the show. No one knew Instagram was no one was doing brand deals. Yeah, I mean, I don't think until Kim really started I should be paid per post. And then she really kind of paved the way for everybody to then make money off of it. Yeah. And you're right, that probably didn't really start happening until around 2010-ish. Yeah. Or later. I started in 2011. Instagram didn't launch until 2011. Oh, okay. 2012. So I'm thinking Twitter. Yeah, you're right. Twitter announced the same in March of 2008, the same month that Roni announced. Yeah. So there wasn't even Twitter when Roni originally seasons 1 and 2. Twitter was just in its infancy. Right. And you told me that the new Roni girls, that you've met them all. I don't know who's on it now. I mean, I've met the ones that were on it maybe last year. I don't know if they switched them up. Right. Or are they switching them up? No, there's all the same. They just added Rebecca Minkoff. Okay. And then she already announced she's not coming back. I mean, and it wasn't really a good fit, but I don't feel like really any of them really were. It's just so different because they're all they didn't know each other before, and they're just what made it, what Sonia said is it just shouldn't have been called Roni. It should have been called something. I don't know what else to call it. Had to be called it. But I think that's where Roni 1 and 2. I don't know, but I get why they had to call it Roni. I think just where people are nostalgic for the '90s and and the Bridget Jones and the John and Carolyn story, my story. I think there's a little nostalgia for the old original and cast. And in their defense, when you guys came on, there wasn't really a way, even if you wanted to watch them all on Peacock and study it and then go, ooh, I got to have a storyline, and then I've got to bring up this snarky thing and then act like I didn't mean to bring it up. Like, did I just say that? And you guys were just living in the moment.
Yeah.
And then you were all smart and funny and had that New York, like, no bullshit way about you.
Yeah.
That would just get you to, like, say it in your own funny point of view. But again, it was never, like, super mean or snarky. Like, even, like, you know, with Ramona and stuff, it's like, she just is who she is, and she's just not really self-aware.
Right.
But
Totally
then everyone says, like, you know, when you need her, like if someone passes or something, like she's still there as a great friend.
Yeah.
But
she has all those girlfriends.
Yeah, she has all the girlfriend. You know,
I mean,
really
she
great
really
girlfriend. I'm
does.
not going to apologize for it. You know what? I'm not going to apologize for having a bunch of gorgeous friends that happen to be 1%ers. I mean, they're probably. I mean, you know how many people are 1%ers? I mean, they're probably like a 0.5%. I mean, they're like really, really. You know, and it doesn't change them because I have the biggest heart of anybody I know. I'm the biggest heart of anyone I know, and but that's who she is.
Yeah,
and it's like from based on like her age, where her bubble is.
Yeah.
Like that's what made it fun. We wanted to see these people that lived in a place, New York City. We don't live there.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see what your life is like.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize. But I get why someone gets on it now and is going to be way more self-conscious because they've seen that, you know, what happens to people, or that, you know, canceled, or this one thing they said haunted them for the next 10 years. Like, I totally get it. And it's not their fault, but it's why the joy of the show has changed. Like,
they're playing for the show, and they're playing for social media.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have that. I mean, towards the, you know, they definitely didn't have it in the first 6 seasons of Roni.
Yeah.
And then when Instagram really started, like when people really were aware that this could be monetized and brand collabs, and then people were retweeting and reposting things. But what we had like blogs, like
you
blogs.
had to do that.
We had to write blogs, but also there were like housewife bloggers. There was one called Stupid Housewives, STOOPID, and they were like so mean, but it was just like a blog.
Yeah.
Right? And just like, it wasn't fucking TikTok where you're like, you know, like there's the video of you saying some stupid fucking thing.
Right.
And then it plays over and over and over again. I just think the cast now is just dealing with a whole other host of things. And I think in a way, you're right, everyone can study it now. Maybe it's a bit studied and a bit like they know they can make their money off. They're going to make their money in social media with brand deals. So they're not going to take their top off and make out with each other and jump in the pool naked.
I didn't even think about that.
They're just gonna
they have to really protect their business and their ability to make money. You're right.
Yeah, because you really don't get paid. I think they still probably get like $60,000
a year, a season.
A season, and you're filming for a really long time, months. We filmed a couple of seasons, like 5 months of filming, and then it doesn't end there. Then you're doing the promotion and the marketing and the blogging, and you have to screen it and then watch what happens live. It's a lot. It's not just like this finite little chunk of time and then you can go off and like live your life. You're constantly, you know, and then you're gearing up for the reunion, and then you have the reunion, then you're gearing up for the next season.
And so a couple things.
So $60,000 after hair, makeup, and taxes is like. You're very aware that you're going to make a lot more money on social media now than you are from the show in those first few seasons.
Right. So and I think that so we are filming this in the world famous Lowe's Regency, where the Regency Bar is downstairs, which is, you know, please don't say it's about Tom. When Bethany had a friend just happened to send her a photo of Tom in a compromising position, who was engaged at Luann at the time with some other woman. And last time you came on the show, you actually found out who was responsible for taking the photo, sending it, and it was
Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen, who was friends with Bethany's boyfriend at the time, Dennis.
Yes.
Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former
attorney.
And then, so he got the call, with the text to go down and take a photo.
Yes, he took the photo. I mean, let me just say, I had not thought about that in many, many years. Yeah. I had no interest I didn't care one bit about any of those characters.
Right. Because you weren't on that season anymore,
no,
right?
I was.
Wait, were you on the season?
I
You were
was-
on the
I
season of
was,
the Tom.
yes.
You were on the trip when she's shaking with the
Yeah, that was
skinny
Miami.
girl.
I was on like 2 seasons
Okay, I
after,
can't remember where.
But I had been off the show for several years
Yeah.
and not thinking about it at all when I was having dinner with my friend who was a movie director, and Michael Cohen walked in and was trying to pitch my friend to do his book as a movie, and sat down and I mean, I thought, oh God, I do not want to have dinner with Michael Cohen and Trump's attorney, and he actually turned out to be so funny, so crazy. He knew all the housewives, like literally knew. He lived in the same building as Dorinda like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He knew Ramona. He knew all of them, and he knew Bethany through her then boyfriend, and Luann, all of them.
Right.
And he said he had even met me before, but I didn't remember it because he was close with Aviva.
Yeah.
Like I was like, and then he said, "Oh, and then he said something about Tom and Luann, and he was like, "Well, I took that picture." Like he just literally, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And he told me the whole story.
That he got the message from.
Yeah, I think it was like a setup. I think the whole thing was a setup.
So that the girl had been talking to Tom, and it was like, I'm going to go see him at this bar.
Yeah.
And someone takes a photo,
and texts
sends it,
Bethany
and then Bethany can act like she was this great friend trying to stop this. But when I've talked to Luann, it was like, I have said, like, do you ever think, well, maybe, she was giving you a gift to maybe, like, not marry him.
Yeah.
And yes, but at the same time, it was one of those, kind of what I'm talking about, those mean moments where you do it on camera.
Yes.
Like you could have easily been like off camera, like, I got to tell you something.
No, but
like,
when you're on the reality show, you can't do it off camera.
Right,
If it
you have
happens,
to.
it
You
happens.
have to.
I think
But
that
I think
the
that's
mean
why-
the mean part of it was setting the whole thing up to begin with.
Setting it up to begin with.
setting
You're
up,
right.
Like,
yeah.
Text me.
Because she didn't just get the thing sent to her. Yeah.
No.
Out of the blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think it was so long ago, but she knew that this girl was going to meet Tom.
Yeah.
I think she had met this woman. I mean, good luck or bad luck or whatever.
Right,
Like she had met this woman, and this woman said, "Oh, I still hang out with Tom.
Yeah.
Text me the next time you're going to be with him." So
Right.
it was kind of set up like that. But and once it happens, and whatever it was set up, it happens. You can't say off camera.
Yeah.
You can't just do it off camera.
Yeah.
No.
But the shaking of the skinny girl was always,
No,
that was
it was
good.
so
that was always good. Like
ridiculous.
get that in there. Yeah.
I mean, I remember walking in, I'm like, I don't understand. You seem more upset than Luann. Luann was like in the hallway at one point. She was like, oh, Jesus, now I got to deal with this.
Yeah.
And like Bethany, I think, was crying. It was so crazy. It was so crazy.
But it was so good. Like, it really was so good. Like, as someone watching it,
yes,
you know?
Okay, yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned last time you were on was when you went on your one date with Prince Andrew.
Oh, God.
And that was a long time ago. It was like right after you were widowed. You said you
Right after my husband
spent some time in London
Yes.
for the holidays.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about dodging a bullet.
I know. No, I didn't know it. I didn't know at the time. I mean, I don't still know anything.
Right.
But I didn't even think of it really as a date. I just thought, he was like, I don't know, he was being nice. He's the prince, so he's just like the minister of tourism almost.
Yeah.
And like, and we end up going to the ballet and to dinner, and he was
And
gentleman.
did he sweat? Did he ever sweat? Remember, he says he doesn't sweat.
Oh, he does.
He says, I have a disease that keeps you from sweating.
Well, he didn't sweat.
Okay.
No, but I saw him only with his clothes on at dinner, so I don't know. But yeah, that was my only experience with him. I'd seen him a couple of times after that. Listen, everyone, to
Would
me,
you? Okay, now I asked Sonia this. These ultimate girl trips that I am spending all my Christian hours. I have to do Christian service hours for myself. are spent trying to get
Christian hours.
when you go to Catholic school, that you always have to do a certain amount of Christian
But
service
when
hours.
did you go to Catholic school? It was
When
like
I was
40
little,
years ago.
but it's in my head. I don't.
Okay.
I just am like, whenever I do something nice for someone, I go, "Oh, good, I got my Christian service hours in." It's just something I say.
Oh, okay.
So one of my Christian service things that I'm doing is to get Ultimate Girls Trip back on the air, because I think it's a win-win for everybody involved. They only film for 1 week.
Yeah, it's lucrative.
They pay the good girls good.
Yeah.
We get to see all the OGs.
Oh, you do? Okay.
They sometimes they're from all one season, but no. Normally they've been mixing them, but I'm fine for doing old season 1 week, and just have them be nostalgic. Like, and I know they were going to do that with the New York girls, and then like fell apart. And then this thing happened with Brandy.
I thought they did Roni, or girls. Didn't all the
Oh wait,
Roni
they
girls?
did. They did. You're right. They did that. And you know what? It wasn't really. It was okay.
But do they mix them up with other girls?
They should
with
probably
other women,
now
right?
that you say they should mix it up. It was still fun, but it was like it would have been. Jill was supposed to do it, and then Jill was like, "I want to be paid the same as everyone else," which is completely fair, and whatever. There was a big thing. I still think we could bring it back, but they haven't done any for like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Because they did one, and Brandy Glanville allegedly groped Caroline Manzo.
Okay.
And then there was like a lawsuit, so we never will see that one.
Oh, wow.
Morocco, which was like Camille Grammer and like Gretchen Rossi, like people that we like. Alex McCord, like it was like it was like a weird mix.
That's interesting.
And so I actually am also starting a class action lawsuit of Bravo viewers that want to sue Bravo for the ability to watch this thing, because we're never going to see it. And I talk about it so much, but no.
Why don't they just cut out those parts? Cut out
I just think
Brandy
and
Caroline.
I don't know.
Cut them out.
I think you just will get people talking, and they want everyone to forget about it. And
Okay.
then they're like, Heather, shut up. You keep bringing it up.
Okay.
So I want to do, would you, if they bring it back, would you do a 1 week thing, of the,
like
an Ultimate Girls Trip 1 week where they take you to Hawaii or something with a mix of women, and you guys all kind of like ask each other about.
Do we get to pick what women? How does it? Do you get to pick what?
No,
what
you don't
women?
get to pick. No.
Oh, they just put people together.
Yeah, they just say, "Are you down?" And this is the week, and will you go? And
Yeah,
I'm just saying, because you've not really done any
No.
of the stuff since
Yeah,
you left.
no.
Since you said to Andy, "Oh, are you afraid of her too
Oh,
now?"
you had to bring that up.
When you said that.
I said
There's
worse than
something that I know, but there's something about that moment that just like still like gives me chills, because it was like, and it almost makes you feel like, like he's the king, and then all of a sudden you see that someone, has said something, and
Against
it's
the
like,
king.
against the king, and then it's like, oh shit, And
I did not have an oh shit moment after I said
know
that.
you did,
No, I
and that's
was
what's
like,
so good,
what
because
the
you're
fuck?
but that's what was so good about it. But would you go? Would you do an Ultimate Girls Trip?
Yeah, it would be. I mean,
Would you do it?
I don't.
Just say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'd do
I'm
that.
going to make this
Do that.
happen. We're going to
But
bring this
but
back.
who would- I
Maybe
don't
they
know- I
can't.
don't know
Maybe they
any
don't
of the
call
other
it Ultimate
women.
Girls Trip. Maybe they call it something else.
I don't know any women.
Maybe they
other
call
than
it.
the
They should
Roni
call
women.
it Bravo Getaway. That's what they should call it. A Bravo Getaway. And you can even throw some guys in there or something. And it's just Bravo celebrities that we all love. Because like right now they're doing Traitors.
Yeah.
And people really like it, but they mix them with like Survivor and Big Brother, and none of those shows I watch. So
What
it
about
was
if they
my
mixed Housewives with like Below Deck?
That's what I'm saying. That's what,
Oh,
that's what
and
we
the
call it. A
Southern one.
Bravo. That's what we call it. Bravo Getaway.
Yeah.
And it's a vacation for a week or two with a mix of people.
2 weeks, maybe a week.
A week. Okay, fine. A week, and it's a mix of people, and you could throw in some men as well.
Yeah. No.
No men.
No.
Okay,
I
only
don't think
girls.
so.
Okay,
The
fine.
Women are more fun.
All right.
And, they get
Just
into
trying
it
to
more.
trying to get people to work.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. Is that like Harry Dubin kind of people?
No.
Okay.
Did I tell you that I hung out with Harry Dubin when I was in Palm Beach?
No, but I'm not surprised.
So I went to this bar and Ramona was there. She was very nice.
In Palm Beach?
In Palm Beach. And then later on had lunch with Ramona. And but Harry Dubin came on by and this woman was like, I'm going to marry Harry Dubin. And I'm like, does he know that? It was very weird. Like, women want him. Women want him. And he's flirting with me. And I'm like, I'm married. And I just don't think that matters to some people. But whatever. He, yeah. You were there then when the leg was thrown, right?
Of course, yes.
And the story, we all know that the story is that she knew she had this planned out. Well, the only thing fake about me, is this leg.
Yeah.
And when do you think she got the idea to throw it? Do you think she got it before she ever took the role? Or?
No. I think she got it because she got the idea to do it after she didn't go to the trip. Because I feel like she realized that was a major
mistake to miss all those days of filming and interaction.
Because I think contractually it's like you really obligate to go on the cast trip and the reunion, or maybe it's changed.
Yeah,
but
no, I know the reunion, it was, or if you don't do it, like when Lisa Vanderpump didn't do it, I believe she told me she gave up $250,000.
Right.
Not to be there to talk about Puppygate.
Right. Well, she probably did because it's probably 3 episodes and she gets paid per episode X amount of money, so maybe it added up to $200,000.
Yeah.
Like if you're not on the episodes,
right.
She had to give that up. But if you don't go to the cast trip, it's just like there's some things, and I think probably she realized, oh shoot, that was missed up there. So she was just trying to do something that would be so dramatic. Can you believe that? Yeah, I don't know.
It's one of the best scenes ever.
But then she didn't come back after that.
Because I can't remember your reaction, but I remember just the way
I remember giving her the leg back, and I was like, you need help. You need to get help. I gave her the leg back after she threw it across the.
How heavy was it?
It's not that heavy. It's light.
Did you put it back on the table, or did you?
I handed it to her.
Because she put it out on the table, and then she threw it.
And then she threw it because.
And then Ramona told me that originally, Ramona said that she also had a plan that Harry, who was her ex-husband,
wanted Harry to
carry her out.
Yeah. Harry told me too that that's what she wanted, and Harry's like, I'm not doing that. That would have been so good. That would have been so good.
See, there's not a moment like that.
No, maybe
in the 2 seasons of Roni or a lot of other shows. Like very few shows have multiple hilarious moments, and I think that's why the fans just adore anyone from your era of Roni, of the original Roni. Yeah.
Well. Yeah, it's nostalgia, and it's just it was I thought it was like a lot of comedy especially in the first. It started getting a little darker. I could see it kind of turning the last couple of seasons, and then it just started getting
when they cast Leah and
well, then surely.
Ebony.
But even when I was still on it, it just felt like there was there was a lot of not just setups, setting up Tom, and that was kind of but opposition research, just trying to really mess with with some other cast, and leaking of stories, putting in fake stories in Page 6 or this and that. I just saw it just started getting a little mean, and not funny crazy, mean crazy.
Yeah,
there's
plotting.
Difference. Yeah,
I think when there's plotting, that's when I get turned off.
Yeah,
where you're really plotting to hurt someone's livelihood or do it because you feel like you don't have enough going on. And I'm like, listen, if your life is what it is, that's fine, as long as you're a funny commentator, funny in the moment. But if you're not, then you're I better pretend that I'm going to have a baby at 50.
Yeah.
When we all know you don't want to. No, there's a new girl that that is very likable. She's on Beverly Hills.
Oh.
But I'm not the first one saying it, but people are like, I don't believe this story. She's 48, and she already has a daughter who's 16. She says, no, she hasn't. She says she's got this new boyfriend that she hasn't even said, I love you too. Mm-hmm. But all their conversations and things are about having a baby, but she also had to have fibroid surgery. The whole thing doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Like she's having a surrogate, like a
no,
donor.
like she says, I want to carry it myself. I'm like, are you in like crazy town? What are you talking about?
See, that kind
like,
of stuff is.
And I mean, yeah, and I'm like, and also,
role model for,
it's one thing if she maybe had never had a kid, but like she
Yeah.
already has like a 16-year-old daughter. She's a widow, and then this guy that like comes on and they have not even said I love you, and then she goes and has dinners with Dorit and Erica to talk about her plan to have a child with this man who she doesn't say I love you. They don't live together. They're not engaged. It's not like they're married.
Is she starting like IVF and all that?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a bullshit story.
yeah.
I think it's like kind of a BS thing of like, well, what could up my, all I have going on right now is I've got a 16-year-old daughter and I'm kind of dating this guy. So what could up it? And I do think, when you've watched it for 20 years or however long it's been on, 17 years, and you're cast, you're like, I need to like make a splash, and I can't just be there saying snarky marks about, someone's outfit. Like I got to have something going on because it's the audience that keeps saying, you don't have a good storyline. You don't have, I'm like, well, what about the woman who's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get divorced or tell you that, I have some horrible ailment or something. Like, well, I'm not doing that. So if that doesn't make my life interesting, then then I guess I'm out. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be, it's a hard job. It's hard to do. You have to be very clever and funny and authentic. Like you really just have to really be, and hopefully you have an interesting enough life that but if you're not, I always find if you're not really funny, that's when you start like having babies and like,
Like when Ramona was trying to say she was pregnant.
I'm like, honey, that's menopause.
And they were on the yacht, and she's peeing on a stick.
I wasn't on that season, but
I
have
you know what,
those
Mario, we have sex every Tuesday. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I had Avery when I was 40, so now that I'm 54, doesn't mean can't have another.
I miss my period.
Yeah.
So like, honey, you're in perimenopause.
Or full blown.
Or full blown at 54.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I want to see your book become a play. I want the play to be a big hit that you're investing in. Nice. Thanks for all the scoop.
Did I give you any scoop?
I feel like you did. I loved it.
Oh, good. Because I like to give
and then I spoiled Babygirl for you and rewrote it. So we got a lot done.
Yeah, and then who's going to play me in the Ryan Murphy?
Yes, I want to hear from people. I got
a lot of DMs about when that was announced. Yeah. I didn't even know that. I mean, I don't really think that I'm going to be part of it. Because
your character, yes, it is.
I mean, if it was true, I would be, but I don't think it's like it's just from the headlines.
Do you have any ideas?
People started DMing me pictures of Miley Cyrus, and I was like, why am I getting all these pictures of Miley Cyrus?
Oh.
And then I was.
The only thing is, she has such a distinct voice.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I don't
so
know anything
deep.
about
It's very kind of smoky.
Yeah,
deep,
yeah.
That. I don't think she could pull it off.
She's much too interesting looking and like
but
I was literally.
But I'm going to find a better person that I think that could get actually has the acting chops to get like your mannerisms down.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to find it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, love you. Thanks everyone. Remember, go to heathermcdonald.net because I'll be in Palm Springs March 1st at the Agua Caliente, and you want to get those tickets. Thank you. Bye.